On today's Try to Finish Something, I'm going to do a little bit more for my Kylo Ren kit that eventually I will go for 501st approval on. I ordered the Black Series Kylo Ren Lightsaber that I'm going to try and modify and make a little more accurate. But I'm not that patient to wait for it to come. It said 3 weeks. That's unacceptable in my book. So I also ordered from eBay a $10 Kylo Ren lightsaber. It has the retractable blade and looks pretty awful. But I'm going to see if I can modify this Kylo Ren $10 lightsaber and see if I can make it presentable. Something to maybe hang off your belt. If you're putting together a Kylo Ren Halloween costume and maybe you need yourself a cheap saber, let's see if we can do it together. A budget Kylo Ren lightsaber hilt? That's what I'm going to do on today's Try to Finish Something. So as I mentioned, I did pick up the Black Series Kylo Ren lightsaber, and it said 3 weeks for delivery, but you should know by now, I am not that patient. This is the retractable saber that I picked up for $10 on eBay. It's missing the two side blades, and off camera, I spent almost an hour trying to get this center blade off. Notice my solution is not a pretty one. The ring around the end just before the saber is solid, and there's a seam all the way down the hilt, so I'm assuming the ring is glued on at the end to keep it together, and I could not get it to budge. So I just hacksawed off the blade, and I'm just pulling out all the leftover bits inside the hilt, just tearing them out with pliers. This will all be covered up with, I don't know, something, so it doesn't have to be pretty. One of the other things I don't like is this fake wire, so I'm going to Dremel that off and add a real wire. So I'm going to grind this away, and then I'm going to use some sandpaper and try and get the old wire to almost completely disappear, and I can figure out how to add my own on after that. Looking at this, the hard part is going to be these, I don't know, wire holders. They look like they're metal with 45-degree sides and maybe a flat bottom, and I have really no idea how I'm going to replicate that yet, but I have to get this all off before I can even think about that. Once the bulk of the plastic is gone, I'm going to use a few grits of sandpaper to get that to go away as much as possible. And yes, I did find some fake screws on the hilt, and you also know my obsession with removing fake screws and adding real ones. I don't know why, but I am anti-fake screw. Never mind. Way too many jokes. Moving on. Sanding. So without the batteries, it doesn't have much weight to it, and before I seal up the old battery compartment, I'm going to throw in a bunch of nuts in there and add some weight back to the hilt. Going to thread them on these roofing nails and force them into the AA battery channels. Then I'll just dump in some hot glue in there to keep them in place. Again, it does not need to be pretty. Feels a little more substantial. Good enough. Now time to attach the battery cover and time for some Bondo to fill in the seams of the cover. I'm just filling it all in, and while it's still wet, try and scrape off whatever excess that I can. And while that dries, I will take apart some more of the sprinklers that may or may not have been in use, or may have been some extras in case one breaks. Shh, let's not mention this to my wife. I just want the ends of these sprinklers, and I need 3 of them for the emitters, but sprinklers are a great source for other Greeblies, and the rest of these pieces and gears and stuff will eventually get used somewhere else. I will use this plumbing pressure fit tube piece and a sprinkler for the end emitter. I'm going to take out that center screw. Yeah, I like the look of that. The Bondo is still drying. I will scrape off a bit more, and then I will sand some of it while the Bondo is still wet, just to save me some time later, just sanding it very lightly. Okay, it's pretty dry now. Bondo sanding time. Now time to mask off a few spots, and I will take it outside to hit it with some black spray paint. Looks good enough for now. Time to figure out the wiring. I found these aluminum spacers at Home Depot. I'm going to use this file and create a flat spot on one side. I like that. I think that'll work. These little things are hard to hang on to. I think I'm just going to try and do the same thing for the two 45-degree sides. File it down and then use a small file to get inside a bit, and I think that'll work. Actually, better than I thought it would. I need 4 of those, and I will attach them with JB Weld. I will need to thread a wire in there now. I probably should wait for the JB Weld to cure. Again, I'm impatient. Crap, I should have waited. Now I'm going to wait. Now time to thread the wire through. I drilled some holes in each end for the wire to terminate into. And done. On to the emitters. The side will just get these sprinkler heads, and I will just hot glue everything in. Time now for some paint. I don't have a good silver, so I'm going to use this silver paint pen, and I will just brush this on in the spots that I want silver. And it doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to get weathered and dirty. I don't have to keep in the lines, and I don't have to take my time because the weathering will hide a lot of the edges. Now, looking at the reference pictures, there seems to be a lot of gold, or maybe it's a copper color in spots, and I've got a gold paint pen that I can tone down later with some browns that will warm up the color and make it not so bright. And I'm going to add those too. Again, just dry brushing it on to a few spots to pick up some edges, and now for the weathering to tie it all together. First, my messy paper plate. I'm trying to reuse things, and I bring out my water-based brown and black. I am just smudging on paint and then do the usual wipe off with a paper towel. This will clean up my edges and help sell the look. Paint on, wipe off. Again, going for layers of paint a little at a time. Not bad. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. I will do the same for the emitters on the sides. Silver first, and then try to do that heat discoloration and add what looks like red and blue and a bit of the gold. I am going to try a technique that I saw watching some miniature model painters use. Again, never painted a miniature, I just watch a lot of YouTube. The technique is wet blending. I am not going to wait for the layers to dry and use the wet paint to help me blend the colors. So silver is the base, and I want an irregular shape on each side, and then I will blend in the gold from the black meeting up to the silver. I just do it all while everything is still wet, blending the edges using that same brush and not really cleaning it in between. Again, I don't want hard lines, and I want an irregular non-pattern with my blending. The next color is red. I am going to use a smaller brush and make more of a line around the whole emitter, again in an irregular shape, blending the wet paints together. I am just using my kids' acrylic paints, and, I don't like this blue, but it was all they had. And blue is the next color. I will do the same thing that I did with the red, now with the blue. When I am done, I will layer some random gold and hit the outside edges of the emitter with gold. And lastly, looks like a bit of black as the final wash. I hate it. The blue doesn't stand out enough. I'm going to add a little bit more weathering here and there as I think about it. I still don't like it. Ooh, I have an idea. I had this royal blue spray paint that I had for the hand plates of my Mandalorian armor. I sprayed some on a paper plate outside, and I will add this blue to bring out that third color of the heat discoloration on the sides of the hilt. Maybe a bit more red, too. I almost forgot the screws. I drilled out some holes and will add the 3 button head Allen screws. 2 on the sides and 1 just below that copper or gold switch. I'm not sure what that round part is. Okay, I think I am finished. It isn't perfect, but I knew it wasn't going to be. I'm not actually sure what I think about this, but it did come in at $18 for the final hilt. It should pass for a Kylo Halloween, or maybe just hanging from a belt clip, which is also something that I need to tackle, that belt clip. But I'm calling my budget Kylo Ren lightsaber hilt finished. I really hope you liked the video, and if you did, please consider subscribing, tell a friend, and share it. If you didn't, as always, just keep it to yourself, and we'll see you next time as we try to finish something.